process. Yeah.
There's a process to everything, but it's all learnable. It's all learnable. You can pay thousands of dollars and go to college and probably get some traditional, I would say, ways of doing things. And I subscribe to like Masterclass, the app. I've went through like Martin Scorsese's Masterclass for fun.
Yeah.
Not because I'm directing a new feature film, because I want to know how people like
You're
navigate
about that.
on set with high-end people.
Yeah.
And if you want to be in that headspace or be a movie producer or director one day, like you're not going to be until you just think of a project, write it down, film it, and put it out. You just directed something, right? Like you are a director.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome back to the In Between podcast.
Woohoo.
Season 2. We're hopping into another episode. Today, I'm with my lovely co-host, Jenna.
Hello.
And I'm your host, Matt. So super excited today. Jumping into this new episode, we're going to be talking about something that's super passionate on my heart, but it's actually that, turning your passion into a profitable business. How do you do that? I think in, today's world, so many people are online, they're looking at things on their phone, and they're constantly like, oh, that's a good idea, and that's a good idea. You slowly start to look at, maybe it's your feed or what you're posting about, really kind of defines what you're passionate about, wouldn't you say? Like when you go to somebody's page and they're always posting about something, in seasons of mine, you've seen things go from always posting about business to always posting real estate videos, then always posting workout videos, then always posting you can kind of judge where someone's passion is at, but what hobbies are great, and they're great for our like soul and to make us feel happy, but like how do you actually like turn that into something?
In business,
Yeah. So I don't know, like
let's start here. Because people message you a lot and they're like, hey, I'm thinking about starting this, thinking about doing this, thinking about getting into this. What would you say, for me? And for me, people message me more who are like in the real estate media space and want consulting within that. But for you, because you did start a business outside of, the real estate media piece, you started us out of a spare bedroom. You started us with a passion to create. I know you wore your creative shirt today, which is just funny, but did you plan that? No, we didn't plan that.
I did not plan that.
We didn't plan that. That's just funny. But when you initially started VAS, you heard the words, you felt like God spoke, you were created to create by the Creator. And that was a passion of yours that just like ignited. Like I just saw it in you.
Created by the Creator to be creative.
Yeah, there you go.
I was created by the Creator to be creative. Yeah. Why? Because I was created, I believe I was created in God's image. So I believe that the world is a creative place, that there are not like scientific explanations for everything in life. Some things just like it requires faith. It requires believing in something, the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Like really having a passion, knowing that like it goes hand in hand with having a vision for your life, right? Like when you can see yourself somewhere in a spare bedroom, I saw VAST. I saw us having a team of people. I saw us servicing clients all over the place, but I didn't know how to get there from the spare bedroom. Yeah. Like that's the hard piece. But without the spare bedroom, there wouldn't have been the tinkering with gear and figuring out fresh ways to do things and that trying out things. So you have to stress test things. So my best advice is your passion something that you're so passionate about you could turn it into a business? Yeah. Okay, is your passion helping people?
Totally.
Because passions can be great. Like I like VHS tapes, right? I collect them, but like they're not.
What's the market? Like
they're not making us any money.
From the business side of it, I would say, okay, I love that you love that. What's the market like for that? Just break that down for me.
So the market for VHS tapes, unless you have sealed, and I mean like not. You got them from Blockbuster and they resealed them as a previously viewed. Like you bought them sealed. They have watermarks on them from like Paramount Pictures, like, New Line Cinema. And if you have them sealed and those tapes can get like graded, just like comic books. It's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. Why sealed? You can't even watch the movie if
Right.
it's sealed. That's the only way it's worth money. I've got like Dumb and Dumber sealed, Goodfellas sealed. I've got Heat sealed. I've got some of.
You got some money,
But,
those
like-
are where you're. I invest in Bitcoin. You invest in
But see,
VHS
like,
tapes.
I hate to say it, but like the money, I don't hate to say it, but like it's a total like subculture.
Yeah.
Like collecting stuff like
These
that.
antiques, yeah.
Antiques, retro toys, things
Yeah.
from the 90s, things that still look brand
And there is a
new.
market for it, believe
Huge
it or
market.
not. There's a market for it.
But that's,
Especially when Pete Davidson decided that he
Yeah.
was going to become.
he said he
the
was going to
next-
buy up all the sealed VHS tapes, which is really hard to find sealed ones. Like we're in the year 2024.
Mm-hmm.
The last VHS that was mass produced was 2006.
Yeah.
The year I graduated high school.
Yeah.
So that movie, The History of Violence, is very sought after. I don't have it. There's only so many copies.
Okay.
DVDs were out at that time.
Okay.
So like we're talking
So
about passions, right?
Let's break this down. So if you were to come to me and say, Jenna, I am going to launch a VHS store.
It would be like a vintage stock, like a secondhand store.
And would
no.
it be in person or would it be a digital store online?
No. So like if you're talking about me,
Yeah.
like in real life. If you were
Right.
like, the only way you can continue to keep
Yes.
collecting VHS tapes is if you make money.
Yes.
Yeah, I would run on eBay and an
Okay,
Etsy
eBay.
store. That's where I've bought any tape that I've wanted. That like you can't go to Amazon
Okay.
and
So
buy like
let's continue
a
to
new movie Oppenheimer on
right,
VHS.
on VHS.
Right.
So
Like,
let's
they don't
continue
make
to
them.
break this down for a listener. So that's great. What if I've never used eBay or I've never used Etsy? Where do I start? I don't even know where to start.
You would start on YouTube. You would literally go to YouTube and type any question that you have and then search and look at what the videos are. Look at how old the videos are. Is it something you're dealing with that's like relevant technology? If I'm looking at a tutorial on how to do something on my Mac, I'm not going to look at a video that's the exact tutorial that I need that was 4 years old. I might watch that, but the software's probably changed. The actual steps on the video have changed, but you can teach yourself
Yeah.
anything.
And that is such a powerful
Anything.
concept that honestly, that statement you just said launched our company.
Yeah, 100%.
And we now have a multi-million-dollar business today because you believed that principle and stood on it. You can teach yourself anything. And when you were launching Vast, I remember, because it's very important to understand cameras, equipment, that was
Yeah.
not
That's
a part of our
intimidating.
lives. Hang on, it wasn't a part of our lives when we got married. It wasn't a part of our lives when I met you. Like this whole world of production was not us. And
Yeah.
you stepped into it. And really, I just say you're a YouTube poster child. If you were to look at like, how did you learn all this? It didn't start when Matt was a kid. Matt loved movies when he was a kid.
Still
Matt,
love movies.
Matt loved I think the movie going experience and the cinema and the history and the culture of film. But like on the other side of it, on the back end, looking at the camera and logistics and producing it, that was never a part of us. And so
Yeah.
you turned that passion that's been with you since a kid of movies and brought it down to a practical term that you could do in your everyday life here in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
I was
And-
27, I think, when like I started. I was 27 when we got married, so
Yeah.
28 when Vast
28,
started.
yeah.
So like I wasn't, not that I couldn't have enrolled in film school or
Right.
like went back and got formal training. And, I had already been to college. I had done some things in life, and I was like later in life. I don't want to say later. I still wasn't even 30 yet at the time, but I was like, there is a way to leverage what is going on in this world. One, if you're passionate about it, it should be fun. And two, people need it.
Yeah.
And three, you're helping people. They don't just need
Yeah.
it. Like they don't just want it. They need it.
Yeah.
And it helps them make more money. So
Make
now
more
we're
money.
like, we're helping other people's families, and we're helping. And at the end of the day, you get to do something you like.
Yeah.
That's why I picked production.
Yeah.
Now to circle back, did I know anything about cameras before? I had to learn about frame rates and why this color space looks different, and our viewers are already like, "What are you talking about?" Color
Editing,
space,
the post
editing.
production, not just
But-
filming, but editing
But
and
like,
post. Yeah.
there's a process to everything, but it's all learnable. It's
Yeah.
all learnable. You can pay thousands of dollars and go to college and probably get some traditional, I would say, ways of doing things. And I subscribe to like Masterclass, the
Yeah.
app. I've went through like Martin Scorsese's Masterclass for fun.
Yeah.
Not because I'm directing a new feature film, because I want to know how people like
You're just passionate
navigate
about that.
on set with high-end people.
Yeah.
And if you want to be in that headspace or be a movie producer or director one day, like you're not going to be until you just think of a project, write it down, film it, and put it out. You just directed something, right? Like you are a director.
Yeah.
So like to the level and expertise and success of that can be a lot of different things. But yeah, I was like, I picked a niche like real estate that I was like, this is really fun. And wedding videography is fun too. But people aren't getting married every day, Monday through Friday. What am I going to do on those days?
Yeah.
So I really wanted to start thinking about how is a business going to be, one, needed, and like two, help people. So
I would say when you started to, yes, you saw VAS as a team, but it was a good 2 years, before we really
started thinking
brought
scaling.
people to the table and hired and
because I thought I was going to be good with what we were doing for the rest of my life.
And
I
that
just had
right
no
there
life.
is such a not a limiting mindset, but I think it's a mindset that I think a lot of people have. If I could just make $5,000 a month doing what I do and what I love to do, I'll be happy for the rest of my life. You know, if I can make $10,000, if I can make $20,000 a month, if I could do this and I've reached it, and with us and with you, what I've always appreciated is you don't stop at there. Like there's always a next, and there's always development, and there's always something we're going to do to continue to innovate, and always something we're going to do to continue to grow. And the passion, I think you're still passionate in many ways about production and film, like you once were in 2018, but the passion took a turn when you saw that my passion is only going to take me so far to put money behind it, or to gain money from it, and for it to be a revenue stream if I don't systemize it. And if I don't
help people.
And if I don't learn the other layer behind entrepreneurship, which is how to run a business.
Yeah.
And for me,
that's a different
that's kind of when I stepped in, and and you know, at this point I feel like I could sit down with any business owner and break down their business and talk, and that's just me, and that's that side of it. But you are the production piece, you are the what, and I'm kind of like the how. I'm like how we're going to continue to scale and grow and develop and hire and you know, all financials and all the things. But I think it's important though, because a lot of people come through and they talk with us and they're like, you know, I have a passion for this. I think I want to go into business, you know, and, you know, I'm going to go out and get an office. I'm going to go out and
they just do it the wrong way.
These so backwards.
That could sink you.
Yes.
You go out and
what
get
do you
an
need
office,
an office for?
Now you're like, I'm a business, and you're like, cool, you have rent and overhead, and like, now,
we've never
instead
had an
of
office,
bringing someone else onto your team to help you, you have to pay. That is a
your
member
overhead.
of your team, your office. And they don't do anything for you other than if it's like a studio space or something that's rented out and things like that.
We have a co-working space. But like for us, we've never had our name on the outside of a building. That's not important to me in 2025. It's not important to me.
It would be nice, but it's just like, it's one of those things.
It's one of those
pretty
things.
Expensive, nice luxury that like we can pop up and create just about anywhere and do high-end production just about anywhere, and that takes planning, just like it would to set something up in an office if you had it. So turning your passions, like, I mean, yeah, you have to be passionate, but I had to get so passionate and dive into it, trying to learn everything like I could, like a sponge, so that I could see if it was profitable.
Yeah.
Like there are many things in my life I've went down those rabbit holes, and at the end of them, I've been like, this is fun. It's definitely not another VAS though.
Yeah.
Like, and I tell you that all the time. I'm like, I'm always trying to think of new business ideas.
Yeah.
It's hard to come up with one that's sticky, that's good, that like, but as you think through what you're passionate about, maybe it's clothing. Maybe it's like, you're really good at thrifting. Well, then start an Etsy store.
Yeah.
And like, you might be like, oh, it's just a side hustle. It is until it's not.
Yeah.
Until you're like really going all in and like, so.
And I think too, on the side hustle piece of it, like I think that one of the magic numbers is if you're making probably anywhere between 5 to 10K with a side hustle, it's time to start thinking about how can you duplicate yourself and buy back your time sooner rather than later. Because I think a lot of entrepreneurs wait and they think like, oh, I need to wait till I'm making 10 to 20K or 20 to 30K in a month, you know, to continue hiring. At that point, I think it's too late, because I think
it's not too late, but you're going to burn out and have some like drawback in the process.
And delay on your growth as a business, because it's very important to understand that everyone, it doesn't matter if you own a business or not, everyone has a price for their time.
Totally.
And so what's it worth to you? And we do the same, people who don't own businesses, like let's just break it down to cleaning your house. Like, what's your time worth to you? Dollar amount to an hour when it comes to cleaning your house.
It's crazy. And most people have never asked themselves that.
And a lot of people would say, well, right? My time is worth, I don't know, what, $15 an hour? Is it $10 an hour, 20, 40, 50, 150, 200?
It depends on what you bring to the job.
Exactly. And so,
are you steam cleaning my floors?
If you break it down and you're like, wow, my time is actually worth $50 an hour, and it's going to take me 4 hours to clean my house. And within those 4 hours, I could be working and growing my business. Well, then it's well worth the investment to hire a house cleaner and to duplicate myself to clean, and that's just one example. If you're buying your
time back,
exactly.
And buying the time back isn't just sitting at the computer thinking about what you're going to do next. You're actually executing. You're reaching out to people. Yeah. You're drawing up new leads. And that's so important. You taught me that. Like I literally, being married to you, you've always been so supportive of any rabbit trail I decide to like run down, like whether it be, and most of them in the last year and a half have all been like healthy things. Trying to get healthier. Maybe it's gym, maybe it's types of workouts, maybe it's cycling, but like the VHS thing's funny because you put up with it for a long time, and now I don't have a VHS room at my house anymore. They are all in the closet, and I have like about 2,000 that are about to be unleashed into the wild. So if you're looking to purchase some VHS tapes, pick up only. You can drop a comment in the episode, but I've always been so thankful that you've been supportive, but then you and I have a mutual like understanding that like, hey, if this isn't like bringing you anything, like in terms of us as a couple, it's got to have a
return on it.
If there's a return on the investment, then Jenna's understanding why maybe I'm in the room on a call and I'm not with the family. But if I'm like organizing a collection of like collectibles, you know what I'm saying, and trying to get my kids involved, and Charlie thinks it's fun. She wants to watch Saturday morning cartoons on the old TVs as well. Like it is a nostalgic thing. But yeah, it's not bringing any money unless I'm hustling eBay, which some people do.
Yeah.
I mean, they sell a tape for $100.
Yeah, for sure.
One piece of plastic for $100. How many of those do you have?
Yeah.
So, but you're selling fossils,
right?
You're selling no more are being produced.
Yeah.
So that's kind of fun.
On that too, when it comes to, how do I turn my passion into a profitable business? One thing I love about our business is that it's a service industry.
Yeah.
And so, we talked about overhead. We talked about how that can really sink someone, but
like if
also
you made
just
products,
a product.
like yeah.
I love my products, in life. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But as a business owner, that's not an area I have experience in when it comes to owning product and needing inventory and
buying up a bunch of inventory and then not hanging on to it, and you can't sell it, then you have to mark it down. That would be a stressful.
That'd be stress. Like, kudos to those product based businesses, but I love that we're in a service based industry. I think that's something I also appreciate about our industry is that we've been able to. Of course, it's changed over time since 2018 to 2025. But, when you enter into a market, I think a lot of the question is, when I'm a new entrepreneur, how do I know what to price? How do I know what to charge?
Yeah.
If it's service, what do I charge? What are there other people charging? If it's a product, what should I price this at to keep it competitive? Also, hit profit and, all the things that come with that. But with us, I've really appreciated that when we stepped into the industry, you were charging peanuts just to, this
because
crazy to see how much you were charging when you started.
Because you're running a media company, just because you're on third base doesn't mean you hit a triple, right? Like, I'll use the old analogy that Jim Harbaugh used. Like, just because you're there, just because now tomorrow you have a business in this niche, doesn't mean that you're charging exactly the same as your competitor in that niche. Go ahead and try.
Yeah.
And you might pick up some people, but if you don't have your systems dialed in
and
you are a phony and you are just like copying
here today,
and
gone
pasting,
tomorrow.
you will be here today, gone tomorrow.
Yeah,
and
totally.
and People have done that with our
we've seen
business.
that.
We've seen copy and pasted all over the country.
But they're not doing it anymore too,
Like,
or they're like,
they're not-
I still work full time. For my job.
I do something else now. And I'm like, cool, we're still rocking and rolling. Our team's as healthy as it's ever been because that was the focus. We built a brand. Yeah. That was the focus. So,
but, the product-based industry, I just keep thinking about that and in dealing with the overhead and then you really do need, a space. You really do need an office. You really do need a warehouse or something to store all of that and to sell it through. And the amount of time that goes into, if you do it digitally, shipping and receiving and just a lot of manpower with that. With the service base, we've really, our type of product, our type of service is done and it's in a cloud. It's digital, which is amazing.
Able to be done anywhere in the world, literally.
Yeah, and I feel like obviously our quality has gotten better from 2018 to 2025, but what's gotten even better outside of quality is the brand. The brand recognition, the brand reputation, and that alone is how you're able to go from maybe an average order value of $285 to $325, to $350 to $400 to $425. Why is my average order value?
Can charge more than the same shorts by someone who's not Nike because it's proven concept, it's brand awareness. You're going to get better fabric with them. Why? Because that's part of their brand, right? Creating a brand is so important. Yeah. So how do you take a passion? Okay, I've ID'd that this passion does help people. Maybe it's a service that you perform. Maybe you detail cars. Maybe you whatever it is. I'm just trying to think of things that, people we know that run service industry businesses. Hair.
House cleaning.
So how can you up that? How can you make your system even more efficient through booking, through your pricing, through the value that you offer? Yeah. That's where when you become passionate about something, you don't just say, I like fill in the blank.
Yeah,
and I like watching videos about tapes. No, I actually like VHS tapes. I like knowing, so I get a moldy tape. What do I do? How can I still get money out of that? Well, there's ways to clean them. I've watched those videos too. You have to have a knowledge to know if this thing is going to go somewhere. Yeah. And I keep using the tapes thing as an example because it's not. Yeah. It's still just a hobby. Yeah. I will keep that in the hobby box, where it's at. And hopefully Charlie will have a really expensive lottery ticket one day when I leave this planet, Dumb and Dumber, $1 million.
I think too, knowing that where you started on day one, you've got to know and you got to be okay with not being there forever. Yeah. Where you were at on day one is not where you are today. And thank God. But I've actually talked with a lot of business owners that are very content with where they're at, and they're very content with still working 80 hours a week, and they're very content with going in and micromanaging their team and being the face of their marketing. And
I would say content is one thing, but you can be content with things, but if you're happy and satisfied, that's not good. Yeah. I wouldn't be satisfied. I've been content in seasons and I've been very happy, and I've been frustrated in seasons for sure. Your emotions can't dictate where you're going. They're just like a thermometer. It's like how I'm feeling. It's hot today. I take my temperature. I'm warm, right? Your feelings are just going to follow that. If you are a leader that's driven by feelings, it's okay to be passionate. It's not okay to be like a basket case and your feelings are one day I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do this. Yeah. And you never put any practicals to paper. You never put a deadline on things. Yeah. I told you VAS was going to be launched by this date. I was working 4, 5, 6 months before it was ever a company.
Yeah, for sure.
But making sure all the documents, I was like, hey, Jenna, I'm proving to you. At that point, you still were working another job. And
I was 6 months you did it.
I was trying to get you to accept that I was going to quit my job. Yeah. And then when you were supportive enough to do it, it was because you saw the dollars coming in. You also saw me never sleeping and never having time with the family. And you're like, if you quit your job, that could be your full time.
Totally.
But it took faith. What if the minute I did that, the orders stopped coming in? Yeah. The weddings stopped coming. Yeah. People always need to get their hair cut. Yeah. Their cars always need to get cleaned. Yeah. Sometimes they'll do it sometimes. So how can you add value as your side hustle, your business, your whatever, and really scale it into something that frees you up, buys your time back so that you can go do it again in another location if it's that successful and it can be copy and pasted. You've went down the route. Yeah. You've proven the concept. Yeah. You've created the SOPs. How do you create SOPs? Standard operating procedures. Try by just talking into your phone and use the transcription. Take it into ChatGPT and say, create SOPs based on this conversation for my company that's going to specialize in this. That's a good place to start.
Yep.
I tell you, in 2018, we didn't have that.
We didn't have ChatGPT. I was going to say
We
that
didn't
that's
have that.
that's a
We
huge
didn't
thing is like
have-
leveraging AI.
Just ask Big Brother.
Yeah.
It sounds
Oh, do you remember
crazy.
that website?
It's
What
a
was
whole
that
nother
website
episode,
growing
but-
up? Ask Jeeves.
He was like a butler, right? His logo was like AskJeeves.com.
That's funny. Or the paperclip guy on Microsoft
Babe,
Word.
Ask Jeeves. There was like a website called Ask Jeeves, Ask Dogpile. Those were all Google
Yeah.
before
Before it was search engine,
Google.
yeah.
Google wasn't the first
Yeah.
one. They were the first one to make the best search engine
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
And that's why we all use Chrome.
Yeah.
If you use
But, you know,
Firefox or Safari,
I think
sorry
a lot
if
of
you're
people
listening,
are just intimidated by that and just truly don't know where to start. They think that they do have to go back to school. They think they do have to go, which I love education. I think you should continue your education, but
Yeah.
I think continuing education looks very different in 2025 and is very ambiguous. Continuing education could look like every night from 8 to 10 p.m. on my
Totally.
calendar, I attend YouTube University.
Totally.
I attend lynda.com.
There you
I
go.
attend,
There's too many ways to train yourself nowadays. And I say that too many ways because back in the day, and I say back in the day, it's just 2018 when we started, like you did have an advantage when you were just purely passionate and you wanted to eat up more information. Why? Because there wasn't a ton of information out there. So any information you got was gold.
Yeah.
And that's why in the beginning of our stages, I did keep my chips really close. I was a gatekeeper. People would ask for my advice and help, and I didn't want to give it to them because I knew if I did,
Yep.
that was the sauce. That's
Yeah.
what made Matt, who didn't go to film school, a little
Yeah.
bit more like special than someone who did, right? But what I've realized now in 2024, anybody can bust out their phone, ask ChatGPT anything, get a pretty detailed outlined or not, if that's what you want. It's so customizable to be able to put thoughts to paper and have outlined ideas, because that's what it ultimately comes down to. Your passion is your passion. Find out if your passion makes money. Find out if your passion helps people. It's okay if it doesn't. It's got to stay a hobby. You got to have hobbies. You got to have healthy things that you like doing.
Yeah.
Can't all be about money.
Can't, no.
But a lot of people would love to quit their job and do something that they're passionate about.
Yeah, and get paid
knowing
for it.
that pays them for it. That would be the ultimate win. It's possible.
Yeah.
So find out where
Agree.
your passion is. I love talking to you about this, and we'll get into some more of this in the next episodes.
Perfect.